What's up, everyone? It's the Ghost from Ghost Corp YuGiOh here today, and today I'm here with.
You're here with REHAN SAEED.
And what did you do? What did you do this past weekend?
Okay, so this past weekend I took part in the North American Remote Duel YCS, and I got a top 32 with Invoked Dogma DPE.
Oh, very good, very good. So this is not your first time being one of the top dogs at an event, has it?
No, so actually, I took this exact same deck out for testing the weekend before the YCS at a regional, and I ended up second. I think going 5-1 or 6-1, something like that.
Oh wow! See, okay, I see you. I see you. All right. Before we get into the video, did you have anyone you wanted to go ahead and shout out today?
Yes. So right before the YCS, I was actually considering Bird Up or Littlest Tri Brigade as my deck of choice, but I have to give credit to my testing circle. They really helped me both, like, really last minute to pick this deck. So shout out to Aaron McInnes. Huge shout out to him in terms of deck building and picking out this deck. Robert Klinowski, Joe McMahon, Sebastian, and Vivek. Those guys really just sort of helped me out in terms of like theory crafting this deck, theory crafting the side deck, and really picking out my tech choices for the main deck, and then ultimately deciding on this deck.
Okay, very nice, very nice. Well, before we get any further, if you are keeping up with the channel, if you're a subscriber and you hit that notification bell, we're actually going to be announcing the giveaway winner from a previous video somewhere in the middle of this video somewhere. We'll announce that whenever it happens. But let's go ahead and get right into it. Before we get into the profile itself, though, can you talk about what you played against during the remote YCS?
Sure, and before I get into that, I have one more shout out to make. Shout out to my local sponsors, DNK and Red Dragon Cards in games. They set me up with a few of the cards, so huge shout out to them.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, so my YCS experience, the YCS was, I believe, 10 rounds of Swiss and then cut to top 32. But I actually joined the YCS from round 3 because I had a 2-round buy for VIP status. So my first round in round 3 was 10U Sword Soul, which I went 2-0. Then I lost to MBT actually, and he was on DPE Heavenly Eldritch, which is this deck's absolute worst matchup. I cannot deal with stun decks, so I lost 0-2 round 4. And then round 5 I played against Drytron Scythe DPE lock, and I beat that 2-0. Round 6 I played against Pure Unchained DPE, and I won that 2-1. It was difficult, but I won that. And then round 7 I played against Evo Twins, and I won 2-1. And then round 8 I played against Tri Brigade DPE, and we won that 2-1 as well. And then day 2 we played against Sword Soul Tenyi. I lost that in time, unfortunately, and that was also due to my own misplay. So I lost that 1-2. And then we played Bird Up on the bubble, so round 10, and we won that 2-1. And then top 32 I played against Sky Striker DPE, and that was a very bad mismatch. Sky Striker is very difficult for this deck to deal with, especially when the pilot is really competent like my top 32 opponent was. So we lost that 1-2 and ultimately crashed out of the YCS.
Unfortunate. We're not going to be able to see you on stream again because you also have taken down a remote duel invitational, and that's crazy.
So I was really hoping to get on stream again, but unfortunately, alas.
It'd be
now we can just get to the deck profile, I guess.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so it's a very standard Alistair engine, so I won't explain obviously the engine ratios because they're very stock standard, but like 3 Meltdown, 1 Terraforming, triple Alistair, double Invocation. I know some people might want to consider 1, and during siding, I was siding one copy of Invocation out a lot, but I think 2 is fine, and I think it's almost needed in the grindier matchups. Triple Nadir Servant, triple Ecclesia, 1 Max, 1 Flare, 1 Punishment. You want to search, you really want to see these. Ecclesia's effect to search isn't always needed, just because like you have the dexterity in this deck now to just use it as a special summon body to climb into Verte, which is really nice. But yeah, and then I main deck Maximus because Maximus I think is broken in this format. Perhaps not in the mirror match, but thankfully I didn't face a mirror match.
Very good.
Excuse me. So that is the Invoked and the Dogmatika engine lineups.
Okay, very good.
Next we're going to the third engine of the deck, which is the Destiny Hero engine. This is a substitution for the Shadal engine, and it's much better because it gives you both follow-up in the form of Celestial, and it really helps the deck going first, which the Shadal engine didn't. The Shadal engine was crazy going second, but offered next to nothing with like Shadal Fusion going first. But like this deck does, and I think DPE is a crazy card for this deck.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially because you can, it has interesting interactions with Meltdown itself, where you can go ahead and on the summon, you can go ahead and trigger DPE without them being able to directly respond to it.
Exactly. So a lot of times, like for example, when I played against Char DPE in one of my runs, I went Meltdown. I did with Appaloosa 2 set, so I went Magical Meltdown. Searched Alistair, giving him the illusion that it was normal summon Alistair, but then I went straight into Fusion Destiny, right? Unfortunately, he had crossout, so he didn't resolve. But if the Fusion Destiny resolved in that instance, then he loses. Even if he changed his Revolt, he loses out on all of his like Tri-Brigade effects, and then on summon I can still use my DPE without his Appaloosa being able to negate, which is crazy.
Insane.
So like there's a lot of like these little technical plays with the deck that really help like make the deck shine in these scenarios.
Oh yes.
And then consistency card, we have Pot of Prosperity, card's crazy. Other broken card, Mystic Mind. Really helps going second. Especially with the fact going second, like you have 2 copies of Mind being Terraforming as well. So Terraforming both being an engine card, but also searching Mystic Mind, which is really nice. You never want to sit on Mind, but like Mind is more so used to like help clear boards, because if your opponent has like multiple monsters, you can start like DPE clearing the board, and because like, you can always like get DPE out the field, you will never have like one monster on the field unless you want it to be on the field. So that's really nice. And then you can also just like use it until like you see a Meltdown, and then like have enough to like kill them. So it's more so of like a stall card and like pick apart your opponent's board type of card, rather than like an auto win button, which is I feel like how Mystic Mind really should be used, rather than like, you know, slap it down like, hey, do you have a card out? No, I'm gonna deck you out.
Right.
So it's a really good card, and I think this deck can use it really well. So yeah, other broken spells, droplets, card's crazy, helped me so much.
Oh yeah, I believe
really helps in Sword Soul matchup, because as soon as Meltdown goes through, you have like technically 2 cards on the board that really can negate cards on the other side of the field, because as soon as you go normal spell Alistair, they always Chi-Shao negate. So you just use like send this, and then if they have like another card on the board, you just send this as well, and then you just turn off their entire board, and like they have nothing. And then you can just go into like Purgatrio, because they always have like Long Yawn and Grave, right? I think Long Yawn's fire. And then Purgatrio just like outs their entire board. So yeah, Blitz was crazy. This also helped in the bird matchup as well. What other matchup? Also really like getting the DPE matchups. Because like you can just stop their DPE, and then like you're free to do whatever you want. Especially like in the Sky Striker matchup, because if you turn off their DPE, then their like main monster zone is locked, turning off all their striker spells.
Right.
And I think in the format, like this deck can use droplets the best.
That's fair. That is absolutely fair.
All right, so that is so that was like leading into our defensive slots. I also main deck Droll, main deck Ash, and then main deck Imperm. I feel like these are the cards that respect the mirror match, Bird Up, and Sword Soul Tenyi the most. Droll isn't great against Sword Soul Tenyi, but it does stop the Protoss line. Granted, this deck doesn't care about the Protoss line. I got Protoss in my round 9 matchup. I got Protoss locked game 3 times. He went Protoss locked for Dark, then the Protoss I think survived, then he Protoss locked me for Light, and then he Protoss locked me for Dark again. So it was like 3 times in one game I got Protoss locked, but like that's fine because this deck can pivot between Light, Dark, Wind, and like other attributes. Because like if you Protoss lock me for Darks, I can go into Mechaba, I can go into Dogmatikas. If you Protoss lock me for Light, I can go into DPE, I can go into like Purgatory, Raijin, etc.
Yeah.
So Protoss doesn't actually hurt this deck, but Draw in the main is really nice for like Bird Up and like the mirror match. And then Ash generic, Imperm generic.
Yeah.
And the last card we have Schism. Card's broken. So good. Like especially if like you know how to like abuse his second effect to send. Card's so good.
Oh yeah, absolutely, no doubt.
So yeah, that completes the main deck lineup.
Okay, so before we go ahead and actually get into the extra deck and the side deck, we actually have to announce our giveaway winner. But before we completely announce our giveaway winner, I want to thank everyone who has used our links, our discount codes for our sponsors like Essentials, our sponsors Jade Black, and also using that TCG player link in the description that costs you nothing extra and supports us directly for the cards you'd actually already be buying. It helps us to be able to give away stuff pretty much every single chance we get just back to you guys so that you guys can get very nice stuff. We would like to give back to the community as much as possible. So drum roll please, because our winner of the giveaway is dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Our winner is Clell White. Thank you for entering the giveaway, and thank you for just becoming a new subscriber. And make sure you go ahead and also check out our OnlyFans, because we post all of our non-conventional Yu-Gi-Oh content on there. The link will be in the description as well. Now, enough interruptions. Let's go ahead and get into this extra deck and side deck.
All right, extra deck is standard. Playing double Mechaba. This is the first time in a while that I've been able to play double Mechaba in the deck. And that's because you're not playing super poly, so you need to play super poly targets. You don't need to play multiple shit-alls just because your all engine is just very concise for Schism. Other Invoked monsters playing Oikoides, amazing in like the DPE mirror matches. You force their DPE with like any card.
Oh yeah.
And then you banish it. You make Oikoides. Card's crazy.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Great in the Bird Up matchup, Tribute matchup. Game Shots, Dogmatika fodder. Really good card to play around. If you use Nadir Servant, card's really good to play around Droll. Nadir Servant's adding this, adding Ecclesia, and then they Droll you. Let's use them in Maximus, and if you have like defensive cards, like a 3k body, playing through hand traps, kind of difficult out, and then on the pass back, you have like so much follow up.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, good card. Surge Schism. Construct for getting back Schism. Winda for locking them out. Start of the show. Card's so good. So good. As soon as like it sticks on the board past turn 2, game's over. Because you're getting celestial draws, you're getting this, like it lowers the attack, it pops cards, like so good.
Yes.
More popping cards. Entis is really good. Standard. Omega's new. So Omega's really good for if you have like a way to like force the DPE. Omega putting back like Celestial, Omega putting back DPE. Omega's really good right now, I think. So it's really good for like Grave Disruption. And then 3 links. Almirage, Secure, Garden of Verte. So I feel like in my deck, I try to maximize the use of Verte, because you're using Verte obviously for Destiny Fusion, but I play the Shaddoll package in my side as well with Shaddoll Fusion. So I felt like Verte was really, really good for me this tournament. I know people say it should be banned, but like, man, you're playing like your Scotch, you're playing 2K, playing bricks in your deck. I feel like Verte isn't actually a problem. Card's really good. It's not problematic.
Says it as he gets top 32 with the card.
Like, the best feeling you can have is your opponent sending a card for cost, paying 2k, and then you imperm their Verte.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Excuse me. All right, side deck. Triple nib, combo matchups, bird up, etc. Pankratops.
Ooh.
This was a very last minute addition. Shout out to Aaron. We didn't know what to put in as our 15th card. This card's at 1. It just made sense to put it in.
Yeah.
And then I told Aaron that I was gonna keep track of like how many times this card actually comes up. This card came up thrice in game-winning situations to win me the game. Card's crazy.
That's insane.
Whether like it was like to clear a problem card, beat a negate, attack for game.
Yeah.
So good. 1-3 games.
Insane.
Like I said, we're playing an expansional lineup. Triple shit off fusion. I didn't know. So I was playing Ariel as well originally, and I was like, Ariel's crazy, and I would want to play Ariel because it's super good in the mirror match. Sky Striker. Bird up as well. Sword Soul cutting out their follow up. Any DPE deck. So I was playing this, and then I thought to myself like, Shut Off Fusion's really nice in the mirror match, and against Sword Soul Tenyi because they only end on like 1 Omni negate.
Yeah.
And then I put in Dragon as well because like every single time putting this in, the decks that I'm putting this in against also have back row that I want to remove.
That is true. Yeah.
That all being considered, I thought Shut Off Fusion really helps get a body on board for Verte, deal with problems my opponent has. App Clone is a good card, and then combine that with Meltdown, and I felt like it was really good for the matchups that I was putting in, being Tenyu Sword Soul, Sky Striker, and Invoked variants. So I did use it in the tournament. It just never resolved. I used it in top 32 twice against Sky Striker. He had D barrier both times, calling fusion. Turn skip.
Yeah.
Against round 3, I used it against Tenyu Sword Soul. He had Ash. So like it never resolved, but in testing it was very good. And every single time that it did get negated or like D barrier locked, if it resolved, I won the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Like those situations, like it still stick in my mind. I was like, if this card resolved and my opponent didn't have the negate, because people are barely running Omni negates.
Yeah.
Like you win the game. Like you're so far ahead. Like and your opponent's like blown out with resource removal.
Exactly.
And you have like a body on board and like so like the cool thing is right that this isn't even affected by Protoss, right? If your opponent Protoss darks you, you make shit all construct, sending dragon, chain blocking, right, with some like either dragon or construct depending on like if they have Baron on their board or not.
Yeah.
And then you just like pop their blackout, shit all construct attacks over Chi Shao. That's 2 cards gone for the price of 1. And your construct can also send Schism so that when construct is removed for like Verte or something, you still skip that up. So and if they Protoss block you flight, you can to App and then start negating cards on their side of the field and still set up Schism. So Protoss doesn't actually really hurt this deck. You can play around Protoss very easily.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Shut Off Fusion is really good into a Sword Soul matchup just because that deck is very much like Salamangreat or like Tribrigade. It's very fair. And their only broken card is Protoss, but like if Protoss doesn't hurt your deck, then you know that matchup is a buy. Really, the only reason I lost round 9 was because I didn't know what that level 4 water Tenyi did, the Shitana. And I didn't know that Heavenly Circle had like a grave effect to search as well. So yeah, I just didn't know that those like cards had actual relevant effects. I thought they were just like cards. That, like I knew like Heavenly Circle searched as in Rhoda, and I thought like Shitana was just like a break you run for Heavenly Circle. Just never knew those cards actually had grave effects. So yeah, that was my fault, and then I just lost some time. But it's okay. Cosmic, Sightlocks, Heavenly Eldritch decks, Striker, Mirror Match, Order.
Pretty much everything. Yeah.
Card was good. It's also amazing when combined with Meltdown. Like one of the games, I forgot which one it was. I used Fusion Destiny, summon DPE, and then used Cosmic Cyclone during the Fusion summoning window. My opponent can't respond. He had 2 sets, target 1 set, and then chain DPE to Cosmic Cyclone, popping Cyclone and the other set, and just like you couldn't respond and was like blown out. So Cyclone. the top two decks of the format, Bird Up, or like I don't know if they're top two, but like two of the strongest deck of the formats with the highest ceiling, Bird Up and Tenyu Sorso, are both monotype. And this deck can abuse Tikaboo just because like you have so many different types. So it's a very good floodgate. The only thing is that this card plays into the same cards that out Schism, being like Twin, Cosmic, like back removal. So like that's the only issue that I saw. And it came up like round 10. I was playing Bird Up. My opponent did have the Twin, and he outed it wasn't this, but he outed Schism and Punishment, and like if it was this, he would have outed this as well. So that was the only issue. But then like this card alone, like against my round 9 opponent, Tenyu Sorso, I ended on Tikaboo Mekaba pass. He impaired Mekaba, activated Ashuna, summoned it. I was like Tikaboo, he scooped. So it's really good against those decks. Yeah. Because I generally feel like you need a floodgate against those decks, or else like they'll just overpower you. And I think this is one of the best floodgates right now. It also really helps in the Eldritch matchup, just because you're really able to like control the flow of the game, because they're not able to get their Eldritch effects off. And if they like if they already have Lord on field, active Conquistador Wakero, you activate this, then they can't even summon those cards, and then those zones get blocked forever. Yeah. So really good. No complaints with this. I think this card is really good. And I think overall my side deck was very good. The only, I guess, minimal impact card I had was the Shaddoll engine. But again, I think that was because it was more so for like specific matchups that I didn't really face. So mirror match I played 0. Tenyu Sorso played 2, but like I only saw it once across those 2 games, and like my opponent had Ash. And then against Sky Striker, my opponent had like D-Barrier 2 times. Like both times I saw Shaddoll Fusion, he flipped D-Barrier both times. So it's really hard to gauge like the impact of the cards, just because like it just didn't resolve. But theory-wise and I think testing-wise, I think the card was really good. And moving forward, I would probably continue playing it. Maybe not regional event. I think that's to be, because before this, I was playing and for the regional that I got second at, instead of the Shaddoll package and Pengutops, I was playing Triple Alpha, because Alpha is a 1-card solution for like 2 pieces of the Bird Up deck. And then it also really helps with the Tenyu Sorso deck, depending on their end board. Because like if their end board is like worm locked, then you can run over the YuGiOh and then bounce back their Cheng Yang, which is really good. Yeah. And then the other card I had was Evenly Match. But like I feel like Evenly Match is so lackluster, and once your opponent knows you're playing Evenly Match, you're just sacrificing a battle phase just to go like not even +1, you're just like trading card for card a lot of times. So I didn't like Evenly, and then ultimately I felt like the Shaddoll package really helped both synergize the engine and deal with like the problems that my opponent's deck was putting up on the board. So like cards like Shaddoll Fusion, Droplets, Nadir, Meltdown, Fusion Destiny, Prosperity, you're playing like so many blowout spells. And like the current best decks just don't have that many interactions with spells. Like they have like Apex Avion, which is 1, and then they have Baron, and that's it, right? Yeah. Like you have like so many power spells in your deck, and then like your opponent has like 1 Omni Negate, and the rest of like their items are like interacting with monsters, and like you just don't care about that. Yeah. So ultimately, that's also just why I picked this deck. I think people still aren't respecting this deck. It blows out birds, like one of the best counters to Bird Up. And I think even in testing, it really helped. Sort of with the fact that I have experience with this deck. And then given the fact that the deck's hard to lose to wind at the moment, and like DPE is such a nice consistency card for this deck, I think this deck is probably, in my eyes, one of the top 3 decks of the format.
And since we have the YCS Pasadena without Brave tokens actually being legal for that event, by the way, due to delays and other stuff, do you think this will also be a good option going into that event?
Yeah, like YCS Pasadena, because like we literally have no updates, right, banlist wise, set wise, from now till then, I think this deck would be really well. Because it's hard, right? Because you can't play board breakers against this deck just because the disruptions are staggered, right? Like you have Floor coming down from hand, you have Mekaba on field. If you use your disruption too early, you're just trading with Mekaba, but then I still have Schism later on. So you can't use board breakers against this deck. Hand traps also deal with like every single engine you use it at. So like if I have 3 engines in my hand, like if I start with Alistair, Nadir, Destiny Fusion, then you need like 3 hand traps. And then 2 of them can only be interacted with Ash. So which one are you saving Ash for? right? So like the only hand trap that actually really hurts the deck is Droll. But then because of Destiny Fusion, if I go normal summon Alistair, add Invocation, you Droll. I say sure, Invocation, banish your Droll, banish Alistair, or like make Mechaba. I go either Raijin or Mechaba, activate Destiny Fusion. I use Droll, but like, did you actually cut me off? Right?
Exactly.
Whereas in the past, you were searching with Shaddolls, you were doing a lot more like Nadir reliant plays. Now you're just going, you know what? Even if you have an Ecclesia, right? Your opponent, Drolls you. You can just go into Verte, make DPE, end on like DPE, Mechaba, pass. Right? Your opponent has like 5 cards to play through that, and plus like any other like hand traps you have. So like the deck is crazy. I think if you're really good at like technical play, the deck's really good. It also just carries because your opening lines are just like so simple. Turn 1, like the deck plays itself turn 1. But beyond that, I think like you need to know interactions.
Okay. All right. Well, that actually brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and smash that like button. Consider hitting that subscribe button and tapping the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Remember to use that TCG player link in the description below. It costs you nothing and supports us so we can do a lot more things for you guys. And make sure you check out our OnlyFans. Link is also in the description. Again, thank you for watching. This has been the Ghost from Ghost Corp YuGiOh here with Rehan, our top 32 YCS remote YCS participant, and with his Invoked Dogma DPE, that's the deck name.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Deck profile. Thank you for watching.